Before I begin the video, I want to give thanks and appreciation to my Heavenly Father because without Him, I wouldn't have the encouragement and perseverance to get up every day, and that's where my belief and faith rest in. I love you very much, God, and I thank you for allowing every day. Hey dudes and dudettes, I hope your day is going just as sublime as your face. Welcome to my channel, Girly Cinema, where I give my opinion and analysis on movies and TV shows, and I will be discussing feminine advice and lessons through film and TV and how it can ultimately help you in self-growth and self-improvement you can use in your daily life. Let's get cozy and grow together one girly scene at a time. In today's video, I will be talking about the summer I turned pretty and how Belly chose herself. While opinions are more than welcome, however, there are boundaries of having opinions which can be harmful. Please keep it respectful, insightful, and tasteful in the comment section if you do decide to comment down below, and the world will continue to be a beautiful place for everybody. Now, with that being said, let's unpack this video. I want to start off by saying it was always conradfisher and Isabelle Conklin. Everything else was just a means to an end and just fillers to bring their story full circle. I don't even know why Jenny Han had decided to do a love triangle with both brothers. Yeah. I just think that it was icky and unnecessary and beyond messy. And I didn't like the fact that really none of the characters besides Conrad truly held themselves accountable or let alone apologize to Conrad. Specifically Jeremiah, because it's beyond inappropriate and petty and weak of him and unnecessary with how he carried on, literally putting Belly's feelings on the line due to his loser entitlement to her. He was so selfish and so self-centered and never deserved Belly, and he knew he never deserved her. And they didn't even look right together. Conrad and Belly were more in sync, and their faces aligned together. They were always a better match, and it was always in game with them. Jeremiah was a terrible person, a terrible brother, and a terrible friend, and only had a selfish interest in Belly because, again, he felt entitled to her. It was a continuous thorn in everyone's side because no one held him accountable for being an insecure jerk with no identity. And Belly shouldn't have never taken him back after cheating on her. They made her have low self-esteem just to bring drama and not hold Jeremiah accountable. And he literally said, screw Belly's feelings, it's about me, my selfishness, my narcissistic abuse, because I couldn't have the toy I wanted to play with. So childish. And honestly, Belly's a princess. She allowed her crown to fall for a guy that wasn't even worth being with. He was not worthy of her. She's the investment. She's the prize, not the other way around. But then again, no one really paid any real attention to Jeremiah because he was just there. And the actor that played him, I don't think his acting is really that great. It was very mediocre. So yeah, that's all I have to say with that. So he was ultimately a placeholder for Conrad, revving up to a point where, yes, Conrad and Belly are supposed to be together. When she finally made up her mind to officially make it official with Conrad. And Jeremiah knew that, but he wanted to be in competition with his brother to prove how much he doesn't want to deal with himself and he's not as insecure as he thinks he is. And it's really an ego booster for him because he's lame and boring and have nothing else better to do besides going against his brother because that is the only highlight of his miserable existence. Belly was emotionally chaotic and had the deepest pride and was unwilling to admit that she didn't want to be with Jeremiah and never liked him like that. It was really out of obligation and familiarity and protecting a person's feelings who honestly can give a crap about yours when he cheated on you. So yeah, Belly's priorities, her emotional priorities are all over the place. So yeah, she felt as if at one point she was liking Conrad just because they grew up together, which is a lie, and then wanted to be with Conrad. But Jenny Han had to write the boomerang of her and Jeremiah being a maybe endgame to keep the audience engaged and glued in, believing that teenagers are this messy and chaotic and self-centered, when really there are some level-headed, responsible, and mild-mannered teens who have their priorities together, let alone their emotional priorities together, more than an adult in their entire life. Jenny Han could have had it where Belly never got up with Jeremiah and that it was just a brother and sister connection or relationship with them. And ultimately, it was just people trying to come between her and Conrad being together. And both of them or one of them still learning emotional maturity and accountability, or Conrad being a doctor takes him away from spending time with Belly and or pursuing a relationship with Belly, just other factors just coming in between their relationship. Or Belly getting a volleyball scholarship and has to go away to train with Taylor And they could have cooled things off because of that. Or because Belly wants her independence and wants to know what it's like to be on her own, unattached to cousins and Conrad, and they separate for a while. And during that time, his focus is off from his doctor's duties because he's on an emotional spiral from missing Belly and his mother at the same time. And Belly's in Paris getting to know herself and having a self-discovery journey, being away from what she thinks is causing her more harm than good. And Conrad thinking he's burdening her about his mother's death and pushes her away, which provokes a breakup. That's showing a character depth that can definitely be overcame with patience and time, and him being worthy of being with Belly, because Belly didn't feel like she was the prize of Jeremiah. She was putting herself out of her feminine role because she was fooling herself, taking a guy back who didn't care about her feelings to begin with. So she was punishing herself instead of giving her emotions time to reset and start again with Conrad. Now with Conrad, she was the prize, and she was in her feminine role with him because he showed her he was worthy of her. In the beginning, Conrad was a jerk and was just bothered by his own feelings leading up to his mother's death, of course, and decided on his own to be with Belly and mature emotionally and mentally. And Steven, it's like I shouldn't say any more after that name, was the most annoying, pathetic, insecure, nosy, self-deluded, self-hating loser who did not feel seen. He barely had a mind of his own, especially when racism happened against him. He brushed it off instead of addressing it, and then cheated on his girlfriend Shayla because he made himself feel insecure about being incapable of being with a girl he's unused to. That's a him problem. And then he lacked a mind of his own when it came down to how Jeremiah felt about Conrad again, and could have been a man about that entire situation and talked to Jeremiah about him making back up with his brother. It was an excuse for him to project his insecurities onto Conrad and how he truly felt about him, which is inferiority, when in reality, both Jeremiah and Steven are making themselves feel like this. They just want to keep justifying being male pick-me's with deep internalized misogyny and carrying toxic masculinity just for the sake of having an identity. And Jeremiah learned from his dad to escape accountability and not being a man about his decision making, and really left Belly to handle everything on her own, and she was really just going to sit there and take it, knowing she was growing in resentment against Jeremiah for allowing him to treat her like that. Ladies, be okay with being alone. If it means you won't have to be in bad company or deal with funky losers, entitled in their insecurities and refuse to get over themselves and put you as a priority. You are worth more than rubies and gold. Walk in that. You have to be okay with yourself as a woman and be secure in who you are before you allow a man to pursue you. It just shows that both Jeremiah and Steven know they will never be half the man Conrad became. I cannot stand the fact that they had Taylor end up with Steven, and I really wanted more for Taylor, and they don't even look right together either. Where you see that Taylor had a good character development quality in her, and I would have loved to see Taylor with a guy who's better for her and is a walking green flag for her. Not a guy who was willing to put her through his projected insecurity for being unsure of himself, which was Steven. So instead of working on himself, he decided to allow low self-esteem to be his crutch to not take accountability from being reckless, selfish, petty, and untrustworthy. And then Cam Cameron was so cool and understanding, and I know I'm sorry for saying his name like that, like all together, but yeah, but he was so cool and understanding, and he really cared about Belly. It was a genuine friend to her, and he did want to see where things went with her and completely respect her feelings despite knowing that she didn't share the same way of how he felt about her that she has for Conrad. And he was a green flag walking, and I really did like his character a lot, and I like the fact that how he didn't feel entitled to Belly and was completely selfless about how the way he liked her and was more than willing to walk away from something that, never was for him in the first place. So back to Steven. Belly had the worst brother ever. And that's why she was willing to tolerate Jeremiah's shenanigans, because of what her brothers showed her. And I didn't think her mom Laura was a good mom. I thought she was hypocritical and selfish and uptight at the same time, and she just allowed herself to be disrespected by both Belly and Jeremiah and did nothing about it. And that's what happens when you have a surface level relationship with your kids and no proper structure or proper guidance, because she was selfish parenting and left Belly to feeling like she couldn't come to her to speak to her about what's on her mind. Laurel still had a lot to figure out as far as being a parent and being emotionally responsible as being concerned, because she just was not there at all and was really misguided on that notion. That didn't stop her from still loving her kids, but that's something that she really had to take accountability on. And then Belly definitely did owe Conrad an apology for being emotionally sabotaging and immature and erratic, because she was dealing with her own insecurities still, and I don't know why they just had to write that part in before, they got into their scene together. but it was really unnecessary. I mean, like, okay, they're together, let them be together, and they're in love, and mushy mushy gushy gushy. That's fine. Why do they have to add that in there? But that part was just annoying and just putting a blockage and a stumbling on their relationship when it just could have just carried through with their time together in Paris along with her friends. So while she was in Paris, you did see some level of independence on her, and I'm glad she did have that time away in Paris, because that's when she chose herself instead of a guy, and it gave her emotional independence and responsibility, being in an unfamiliar environment that she reinvented herself in. And it worked out so well for her. And again, their love scene was very passionate. It was a moment that was built up where their feelings for each other exploded. But nonetheless, the Summer I Turned Pretty had great aesthetically pleasing visuals, and I did like some of the food there, and the most annoyingly pathetic flawed characters who genuinely could have had redeemable aspects about them, but alas, it was only Conrad really and slightly Belly, but they're great together. I am so glad you came across my video, and I hope you enjoyed today's content. I appreciate you guys so much for taking a gander on my channel. Feel free to express your thoughts in the comment section below. If you'd like to keep up with any upcoming announcements, news, and posts and entertainment, be sure to check out my blog. The link is in the description box. And if you made it to the end of the video, comment your favorite thing in the world. And remember, without God, we all wouldn't be here. Well, that's all, folks. Have a happy rest of your day. Bye!